Hope you're doing well, whoever watching this. My name is Chandler. I'm a freshman journalism, media, and film communications major here at Howard. And for this blog, I'll talk about Ferguson, Missouri. So the first thing that I really wanted to talk about was the killing of Mike Brown. And if I'm not mistaken, this was 2014 or 2015, not too sure. But I'm pretty sure I was in 8th grade when this happened. And I don't really remember. So I attended PWIs all my life before coming to Howard. And I don't really remember any of my teachers speaking about it. But I do remember talking about it with like some of my peers in middle school. And it was always kind of difficult. I always felt like very misunderstood because, the conversation, whenever we would talk about, it doesn't really matter who. It could be Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, whomever. And the conversation would always kind of direct towards, well, what did they do? Like, what did Mike Brown do? As if him being murdered was warranted. And it was always frustrating. That was probably the hardest thing that I had to deal with because, like, what does anyone have to do to have death warranted on them? But that's just my outlook. But those people specifically, did not deserve what happened to them. The other thing I wanted to talk about was how the oppression, or how the Ferguson, Missouri, is oppressed. I feel like when people think of Ferguson, like Mike Brown is the most prominent thing they think about. But I think people don't realize the ways that communities of color are oppressed by their own government. And, in the documentary, they showed how some people would be charged with offenses such as like jaywalking, and they would be fined like real hefty. And and they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to pay the fine, so they were forced to stay in a holding cell. And obviously that's not right, but I think people don't realize how there are ways that our government kind of like holds poorer communities or communities of color like in a box. One thing that stood out to me, I think this is word of Dr. P. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I know you said something along the lines of, like, even though slavery isn't still alive the way it used to be, or, well, I guess, yeah, it's not alive the way it used to be. If you don't understand the law, then your whole community can be enslaved. And that really stuck with me just because I think, obviously, like I said, I was a freshman, and coming out of high school this past summer, when we had all the civil unrest with the George Floyd shooting and the protest for Breonna Taylor and Elijah McClain, and yeah, the list goes on. But, with all that happening, I think it really forced me to, I don't want to say it forced me to open my eyes up, because, this is the kind of stuff that I've had to deal with, that we've all had to deal with for all of our lives. But I think it forced me to just kind of change the way that I respond to these things. And, I feel now that I can respond a lot more effectively. But yeah, so those are my thoughts and my takeaways from the Ferguson doc. I thought it was a really good watch. Definitely heartbreaking, hard to watch for sure. But I think there's a lot to learn from it. And yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, stay well, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.